In tonight's Top Gear, Volkswagen have a new Passat, and Quentin's been driving it. Steve Berry's out hot rodding.
Motorsport comes in all shapes and sizes, but there are those for who the only shape and size that matters is a quarter-mile tarmac oval. The in-your-face excitement of oval racing attracts die-hard enthusiasts who admire the fearless talent of the drivers.
Do anything you want to do!
And then there are those who just come for the vodka's bangers.
Do anything you want to do!
This is Figure of Eight racing, the Formula One of madness. This is banger racing for people who don't think that banger racing is dangerous enough already. Wildly spinning Capris are popular, but the fairy dice and driver's brain are removed to save weight. Wanton destruction and hugely enjoyable. However, head in the bill at the Hensford Raceway with the Hot Rodders, all set for 60 laps of close quarter combat. But if hot rods make you think of ZZ Top videos and hairy blokes called Bubba, then think again. A hot rod is not a complicated creature. Essentially, you've got a steel subframe clad in Kevlar panels, incredibly light and strong. This bonnet only weighs about 4 pounds. Underneath, a 2-litre engine. In this case, it's Vauxhall's venerable 16-valve unit, pumps out around 220 brake horsepower and drives through some big, fat, slick tyres. You have a car that is phenomenally fast and incredibly strong. As Steve Dudman found out when he stuffed it in the fence grand style. So what exactly happened to your car?
I was trying to pass a chap in second place, and the two lads behind me got hold of the back of the car and were a little bit over enthusiastic and pushed me straight on into the fence.
Basically, the whole front end of the car was written off, wasn't it? And
yeah, last night, yeah, we lost. Yeah, the crew worked really well. We've completely put new suspension on right from front to back, so we're ready to go.
And ready to go they were for the Hot Rodders National Championship. They had the World Championship back in July, and one of the favourites here was the reigning world champion, Ormond Christie, although he wasn't too confident.
My chances were not so good. I didn't have to touch such a good day yesterday. So all the quick guys were starting up front. I'm probably one of the quick guys, but I'm starting too far back to leave me in with a realistic chance of winning.
The excitement mounted as they all lined up. John Stewart, last year's winner, was in pole position, with our man Steve Dudman on the second row. Everyone's in with a chance when the racing's this close, but you can't win unless you start. Get your skates on, lad. And they're off. Although actually, they're not, because the only safe way to get going when the grid takes up more than half the length of the track is with a rolling start. The really quick lads lap in a nads over 14 seconds and their race is done in around 15 minutes. The lead cars accelerate madly up to 90 and take the first corner in a controlled power slide, except that it isn't really a corner. Somehow all the cars manage to avoid a collision except for one, and it's our man Steve Dudman, forced into the fence and early retirement. National Championship is easy. You just stay off the brakes as late as you dare, aim for the Armco, pray, and then get back on the power as early as you dare. The big problem is the other 29 people trying to do exactly the same thing in very close proximity. Last year's winner, John Stewart, was making rather a good job of it, picking his way through the back markers. But our man Dudman had to endure 59.5 nervous laps, hoping that no one would total his 20 grand race car. Ormond Christie, perhaps the only man ever to be crowned a world champion in Ipswich, was carving his way through the pack until he encountered Ian McKellar. Mr McKellar alternates his hot rod racing with TVR Tuscans and is the man that Ormond took the world title from, which is perhaps why the Englishman was so reluctant to let the Irishman by. But after a bit of argy-bargy, Ormond did get by without the need for so much as a nudge. Because in hot rod racing, there's always time to have a horrible accident. At this point, we were all trying to work out who the heck was in the lead, and none of us could. Well, someone who knew said that John Stewart had managed to stay out in front, out of bother, and by doing so had won the national championship for the second successive year.
Well, John, you made it look easy.
It was easy for a change. They don't usually give me such a clear run, but perhaps somebody was arguing the toss behind us and we got away.
Oh, man, that was some race you had there with Mr. McKellar, wasn't it?
And others, yes. he was the biggest problem.
You were so close to him for, it seemed like most of the race, but you just couldn't get by. Can I suggest that you gave him a gentle nudge once or
I think
twice?
after about 20 laps of being held back and messed about, I think I did, yes.
Poor Steve Dudman. If it could have gone wrong, then it had. Twice.
Steve, what happened, mate?
It's the way it is, Steve. We have to go for it. As soon as we start, we've got to go.
All that work, you came here, you spent days getting the car ready, you worked all night to repair the car, and your race lasted 25 seconds.
Well, I was going for it. The ball leaned straight on me, right in the wall.
Steve, have you ever considered drag racing?
Never. I won't wear the clothes.
Next week, the Caterham 21, grown-up cousin to the legendary 7. Chris Rears made a movie and built a Ferrari to star in it. And Tony Mason's come over all Reg Varney. He's on the buses.